Welcome to the fastest daf in town. Today on Masech the Sotah daf Mem Vav. We are going to begin on the very bottom of Mem Hamid Bays, 6 lines from the bottom by the new Mishnah. Says the Mastisa. Niftaru Ziknei Yerushalayim. So we're continuing as this parak discusses about the laws of an Egla Rufa. So you had the Ziknei Yerushalayim that were there. So they eventually leave. V'holchol hen Ziknei Oisa'ir. And then the Zakanim of that city come, and Maviyim Eglas Bakar. They bring this cattle, this agala, this calf. Has to be that it was not worked. They did not actually do any work with this, otherwise it become invalidated. But interestingly enough, if it has a mum, that's not going to be an issue. So they bring it to this place, Nachal Esan, like a very jagged area, and Esan is kamash ma'oi, it's kosher, it's hard. Esan kosher, but even if it's not so hard, it's still kosher to perform the ceremony. V'orfin osa b'koifitz miachara, and they will kill the agala with a hatchet from the back. And Rashi says it's kamin sakin god, like a huge knife, but it's the animal is killed from the back, which of course is not the normal manner of shchita. It's not the natural way of its death. The natural way of this animal is with death. This person who was killed did not die a natural death. So, in addition to that, the place where that animal was killed is always going to be asim uzro. You can never plant there anymore. Again, it's usually hard ground that's something which you can never plant there anyway, but you're not allowed to even attempt it. Avoid, and to do other types of work. You can soak flax there. Sham avanim, or to arrange stones over there. That's okay, because these are things that are not connected to the ground. Zikne Osa'ir. Now the elders of that city, they wash their hands with water. B'makam arifa shel egla, the place where this animal was killed. And they say the pasuk, we didn't kill this guy. In our eyes, we didn't see what happened. So, as we saw this before, this famous quote of a question found in our Mishnah, did we even have a thought process to even think that they're the ones that committed this murder? Of course not. So what are they saying? It didn't come to our hands. We let him go without food. We didn't see him. And that he would have left without being accompanied. So we see from here, as the Gemara is going to elaborate more as we continue to Mem Vav Amud Aleph, that you're responsible for a guest, and therefore when they leave, if you just let them go and you don't accompany them, it's ki'ilu you're shayfech damim. You're responsible for that person, and if he gets hurt, so it's your fault. At least you bear some responsibility. Kohanim they say the following pasuk: Chaper l'amcha Yisrael. It should be a kapara to the nation of Israel, Asher Padisa, which Hashem you redeemed. V'altiti dam naki b'karav amcha Yisrael. There shouldn't be, we shouldn't have dam naki, innocent blood, spilled in Klal Yisrael. Lo hoyasrichan loymer v'nechaper lehem hadam. They actually didn't need to say the words of the chaper lehem hadam. El ruach hakodesh mi Vasartan. Rather, when Moshe said this statement was actually said Baruch HaKodesh, that Hashem is telling us Emasai Shetasu Kacha Hadam Mischaper Lahem, that when this is done, then there is a kapara for this murder. A kapara at least for the city. Okay, Gemara. V'hei mum poisel be'egla mikal v'chaymer. Why are we saying by an egla rufa that if the animal is a Baal Mom, it still works? Maybe we should say through a Kal V'chomer it shouldn't work. What's that? Because Ma Par, when it comes to the din of Par Aduma, So the din is she'en hashanim poislos boy. We know that it could be any amount of time. In other words, even if it's an animal which is a year, 2, 3, you could still use that animal as the paraduma. However, mum poisel ba, we certainly know that a mum is poisel, as the pasuk says, by paraduma ein ba mum. So egla, when it comes to egla rufa sheshanim poislos ba, because when it comes to an egla rufa, it's davka the first year. Rashi says bashanasahi. It has to be the first year of its life, basically a very young calf. V'im over shanasa psula, says Rashi. Even if it's a year old, it's possible. Again, because similar to that, you took this person's life prematurely, and therefore we do this by taking a gala to remind ourselves of that. But eno din shehimun poiselba. So based on this kavachaymer, we should say certainly that in the event that there is eno din shehimun poiselba, then egla rufa, which seems to be more strict, should be disqualified if it has a blemish. Shani hasem diamer kosher ein ba mum poisel ve'ein mum poisel be'egla. It's dafka. It says only ba, which is a miut, which is coming to exclude by egla rufa. Al miata lo yihu shara vodos poisel spa. We should say that the other types of avoda should not passel when it comes to the paraduma. Says Rashi, the oil bilvad ksiv ba. It says by an oil, by a yoke. El the gamrul of a kavachaymer me'egla. We went up from egla rufa. The ksiv asher lo ubad. Any work whatsoever. Kol avodas b'mashma. V'i ba miyuta. So if the word ba is really come to exclude, lo nigmar minei, you shouldn't be able to learn out this kavachomer. So Alama Amar Rabbi Yehuda Amar Rav hiniach aleha uda shel sakin psula. By a paraduma, if you put a bundle of sack on it, it's going to be puzzle. Uve egla achetim sheich. When it comes to an egla rufa, it's until the animal actually walks. Says Rashi, v'afagad olhu. So you see, when it comes to the paraduma, even if it's not an ol, it's still a little puzzle. However, when it comes to the egla rufa, it's only when you actually moves and walks. Says Rashi, shetiltil b'masama'at. The egluksiv asher lo mashcha. So that's the question. Well, it doesn't make any sense. It says Rashi, mikol makom shma mina. We still from here. The gamar para be'eglo. We can still win out paraduma from eglo rufa b'kavachaymer b'shavodos v'afal deksiv ba miyuta. So how do we understand this? Shani para the alfinan ol me'egla. So it's different because we have this gzer shava. Says Rashi, kivan de gzer shava mufnehi. It's extra. Havli command dechsib begufa. It's like it's written there explicitly. Umiyuta deba darshli ladrash achrini. So you can't make a connection between the two. So egla nami tesi ol mepara. So hamid rachman ba. It says ba, which comes to exclude. That's only when it comes to the paraduma has a mum, but not by an egla. The fact that it says ba is a miyat, even though it's true that we have gzer shava, so you would think you should link the two, but again, that's the fact that there's a miyat comes that there's certain things that they're not the same. So be'egla nam iksiv ba. Still, we learned one from the other. When it comes to kanshim, deloi pasel behu avoida. Now, when it comes to kanshim, it doesn't pasel. Says Rashi, mahakrava. If you did work with an animal, you could still bring it on as a carbon. When it comes to the para, not. Now, salkadat chamina leisi b'kavachamer me'egla. Ma egla she'in mum poisel ba. When it comes to egla rufa, if there's no mum, it's still allowed to be used. Avoda poiselas ba. But if you did any work with it, it'll pasel. So kadashim shemum poiselas behen. You know that a carbon has to be with blemish free. So and an inch avoda poiselas behen. So shouldn't it certainly be that the avoda should pasel? So that's why it says ba. Ikal mifrach. Some could ask the question on this. Shanim poislas ba. We know it comes to egla rufa, it has to be less than a year old. So atu kodshim miika the pasmu shanim. Do we find by kodshim that we passel just because it's a certain amount of years. So, even though there are certain karbanos, so the Gemara says, when you need the pasuk above, hanakashim the pasuk hushanim, because there are situations, there are certain karbanos. For example, Pesach, Chatas, that the chsub b'nei shanasan has to be a year old. The kadashim do pasuk hu avodim hachanafka. You tell me kadashim that we're not going to be puzzled by doing avodah. Is that how we are not from ba mahasam nafka iveris or shavar or chorutz or yabeles or garav or yalefes lo sakrivu eilel Hashem. So all these different things. If it's blind, if it has a broken limb, if its eyelid is cut, has warts, or it has these different deformities, so then you cannot be makriv these. So you can make this diak by kachim itself. You don't have to learn it out from Egla Rufa. Maybe the only time we could say, oh, okay, you can be makriv a carbon is if the avodah that was done is an avodas heter. Avodas iser ema litzru tzricha. But if, let's say, it was some type of avodas iser, says Rashi, Kagain b'Shabbos or kilayim b'shemor v'chamor, you did some sin with it, so it's even worse. Not that you just use some animal on a Tuesday to plow your field, but even in the event, let's say you did avodah with it on Shabbos, so you think maybe it's tainted because there was sin connected to it. No, you can still use that as a carbon. We can learn it from here. Miyad ben necher lo sakrivu es lechem elokechem mikol eile. It says a ben necher cannot be makrib from all of these. Eliata makrib, elata makrib kadash m'shenavnu hen avoda. So you can learn it from there. So it's you would think maybe only when you did avodah while it was chulin. Once, let's say it was already kodesh, even though maybe you weren't supposed to do it this way, but let's say you actually used it while it was already a kodesh, ema litzru, maybe also there, sricha. So therefore, let's look at question 11. So one is not only by avodas heter, but even avodas iser, and also avodah achar shekidashan. Even after it was your makdish it, if you still did avodah with it, then we still say that the din is that you could still be makriv this carbon. Okay. Fighting. Getting back to what we said before. When it came to the parduma, if let's say, for example, you put some sack on it, psula, even though it actually didn't move, however, it's only when the animal walks. So meisvei. So this the Gemara wonders, and asks the following question. Oh, ainly oil. I only know if there's a burden on it. Shar avodas manayin. How do we know if the animal did any other avoda that the same din applies, that it's also to be used? Amarta kavachaymer. Ma egla shein mum poiselba. When it comes to an egla in which there's no mum, even with a mum it won't be a problem. You can still use it. So shar avodos poiselsba. But when it comes to the egla, any other avoda is still aser. Will aser you to use it. So parish mum poiselba. When it comes to a par that cannot have a mum, then certainly any other avodah you should disqualify the parduma. However, if you somehow don't accept that and you want to maybe ask a question, then nemer kan oil v'nemer holen oil. You can learn out of gzer shava. Mal holen sharavodos poislos ba avkan sharavodos poislos. So then we'll learn out the Kal V'chaim Gzer Shava, rather, to say that the same din is by a paraduma. So my imnaf shcholoimar. What was wrong with the Kal V'chaim that you say, or you have to come up with this? Because maybe you can say by the Egla Rufa we're more strict because, fine, it is allowed to have not a mum, but you could say, yeah, but we find it is strict in certain regards that it has to be within a year. not by a parduma. Inami kachim yachichu shumum poisel behen. We look at my kachim that it has to be mum free. Ve'en avoda poisel osba behen. So one is not necessarily totally. They're not totally zabazeh. You could have the restriction of no mum, but still you can still use it as a carbon, even though avoda was done with it. So never kan oil, never hol and ol. That's the reason why we learn out the gzer shava mal hol and sharavodos afkan sharavodos umimakam shabasim, and then you go back mal hol and ad shetim shoich afkan ad shetim shoich. So why don't we say, just like by the egla, it's only once it's moved? So maybe we should say the same thing by paraduma. Only once the animal moved with this bundle, not as soon as you put it on. So that's a question. So Tanahi, egla. Some people went out a kavachimer from egla. And some people are not from the par itself. The side oil, anything. So im came on to ol. So why does it say dafkan ol? Because an ol is poisel ben b'shas avoda ben shlo b'shas avoda. When it comes to an ol, it applies either during the avoda or not during the avoda. What does that mean? It means we're gonna see. What Rashi says actually koloimer she'avoda zu l'tzarchi. There's some purpose to it. However, if it's shein b'shas avoda, you do it, but you really had no intention for it to be work. You just, let's say you're holding on to it. So I was going to say, and it's too heavy, so you just put it down over there, but you don't actually want it to do avoda. It's just you don't want to hold it. So shar avodos in poiselis el b'shas avoda. So too when it comes to all other avoda, it only passes b'shas avoda. Ve'ema asher lo el kalal, can't do anything at all. All prat. Klal prat ein b'chlal masha b'prat. Oil in midachrein low. Maybe only if it's an oil. Maybe not sharavodos. So asher riboihu v'taninami gabi egla ki agabna ol enli el ol sharavodos manayin tamadomer ashul ubad ba. That can't do any work with mikol makam any avoda. Im kenaman tamado ol poisel ben b'shas avoda ben shul b'shas avoda. So it tells you, just like the para, that an ol pasel b'shas avoda or shlo b'shas avoda. Sharavodos ein poisos el b'shas avoda. However, when it comes to sharavodos, it will not pasel except b'shas avoda. So it's only when it comes to an ol is it b'shas avoda or not. However, sharavodos doesn't make any difference. It always will. It will not pasel except b'shas avoda. Oil prat, klal prat in the chalam prat. All in media low. Maybe it's only no. No asher riboihu, just as said by Parduma, so by Egel it says asher, and therefore that comes to include sharavodos. Amar Babo, boimine Rabbi Yochanan, mashichas oil bekama. When we say that it has to move, how far does it actually have to move to passel when it comes to an Egel rufa? Armalei kimoli oil, the distance of the burden. Yiboilhu arko ol rachbo, length or width. Amahu hahumar rabbanon Rav Yaakov Shmei l'didim mefarshul minei was explained by Rabbi Yochanan mashichas oil l'rachba tefach, a width of a tefach. V'im a tefach, so just say a tefach. Why l'rachba tefach? Hakamashmon shi'ur de oil tefach havi. L'may nafkimino mekach memcher has to do regarding business transactions. That's what's considered to be an ol, the distance of a tefach. Rav Yochanan ben Shoyel mipnei ma'am Torah hevi eglo benachal. Why is it necessary that it should be in this particular place? So Omar Kodesh Baruch Hu Yavadav Shlo Asaperis. You should take something in which does not produce fruit, which is this young calf, the Oref B'makom Sheino Asaperis, and bring it to a field, to a place where there's no growth either. And this person who was killed has lost the opportunity of any future peros. My peros, Ilay, my Rabbi, having kids, are finan. If let's say the person was an old guy that was killed, so you don't do it because he's not capable of having kids, or a saris, or someone who again is incapable of having kids, ela mitzvos. It's referring to mitzvos, that they're lost the opportunity of being able to do any more mitzvos. TA 26. So it's coming to tell you, Sharavodos in poislois el b'shas avoida, v'lo ba'akroi shemaniach sak shalom manasa halichai, v'ol poisel af shalom b'shas avoida. So when it comes to other avodos, it only passes b'shas avoida. Again, if you had the intention for the animal to actually do some benefit by it being on it, but if it was without the kavana, so then it's only b'shas. Again, it's only b'shas avoida. So that's again how it's read. Shar vodos in poisos el b'shas avoida. However, if you put an ol, it passes ashlo b'shas avoida. TA 26. So again, what does that mean? So Rashi explains, Shul b'shas avoida v'afil haniach aleha l'hakel masem yadai. Your whole intention is just to put it down, just to lighten your burden. However, when it comes to an ol, it doesn't make any difference, even if it's shul b'shas avoida. Okay. Umaridin Isa El Nachle Esan Esan Kamash Mokashin. It's supposed to be hard ground. Ton about them. Menan Esan Shu Kashish Nemar. How do we know it's supposed to be hard? As we continue to Mem Vavam Advance. A tan. So that word is Moshavecha, your place, Basim Basela, Kinecha. It should be placed like on a rock, your nest. So we see that an Esan is Basela. It's like on a rock. Yom Shimu Harim es Riv Hashem. You should hear the mountains, the dispute of Hashem. The Esanim Moisti Aretz. So the Esanim again is like Esan. So we say Esan is like hard like a mountain. Moisti Aretz Acherim Omer Menan LeEsan Shu Yashan. Supposed to be literally old. Says Rashi, V'lo Shehuva Karkisil Machadash V'Karkachriti Shnemer Goy Esan Hu Goy Me'oylam V'Arfen Oisim B'Koifetz Me'achareha. So how do we know it's supposed to be killed from the back, which is not typical? When it comes to the killing of the chatas of, then it says the chsib b'mul arpo. It's the animal, the bird is killed with the thumb of the kohen through the process called malika. So that's in the back. So too, this is also from the back. Person's not allowed to plant there anymore. He says that you're not allowed to use this land for the ceremony if work was ever done in the past. Rav Yonasan Omer Lahaba. Apparently, if it was done, there was work in the before, as long as no one's going to ever work there later. Now, Rav Omer Lahaba there's no question that you can never plant there anymore. Ki pligi l'sha'avar. In the past, Rabbi Shaya Savar miksiv lo yubad. Rav Yonasan miksiv asher lo ne'evad. Rabbi Shaya asher l'sha'avar mashma. Rabbi Yonasan asher ribuyahu. So it's the diak of the language, but l'haba you certainly can never plant there ever again. It says Rashi. Abul Hashem miksiv asher al karchach. Muchoch alod sha'avarhu. Talking about the past. Riboihu loba ela rabos kol avodos kilo kaman. All avoda cannot be done on this field. The lo tidrasheha b'chal prat. Umoto lisrek sham pishton l'naker sham avanim. You can do other things there which are not karka related, like soaking flax or to arrange stones there. Tanabana shiloi avid bo v'lo yizareya. Ainly elazria planting. Sharabodos menan. You can't do anything else. You can't do any work. So I say don't plant. Mazri, when it comes to planting, it's connected to the earth itself. So av kol shehi begufah shel karka. You can't do anything which is related to the earth itself. However, these other things, even though you're putting on top of the land, but it's not really using the land. Maybe the only thing you can't do is plant. Asher riboyahu. So Asher is coming to conclude other matters, other things that are used connected to the ground. So they wash their hands. The pasuk says, anyone who's closest to this body, they wash their hands. Why does it say that? That it's supposed to be done in that place. We didn't kill this guy, as we just quoted in the Mishnah. Also, or do we actually think that they're the ones that killed? That we didn't know about it. We would have otherwise provided food and accompaniment. Tanya, we will actually force an individual to escort someone who doesn't want to do it, does not want to take the time to escort his friend. We're going to force him to. Because the reward is beyond measure. Shnemar. So pasuk says in Shoftim, V'yiru ha-shaimrim, and the watchman saw Ish, this person Yotzim in the ear, who left the city, V'yamru lo, and they said to him, Hareinu na es mivoy ha'ir, we see you coming regarding the city. V'yasinu imcha chased, and we'll do with you a kindness. Uksiv, and it says V'yarim es mivoy ha'ir, that they saw him to the entrance of the city. Ma uma chesed asuimo. So what kindness did they do? Shekol oiseir hargu fi charev, that the entire city was killed by the sword. Voso ish, however, that person who took care of this guest, umimishpachdo shilechu, that person was spared. Vayelach haish eretz hachitim, and this person went. Vayiven ish aviven ir, and he built a city. Yikra Shema Luz, and the name of the city they called was Luz. Rashi says here, Seif Dekra, he Shema, it's his name, Ad Hayom Hazeh, until this day. Uvinei Yolef Delo Nisbalbula, it didn't get confused. This is the same city, Vulcharva. Not that it got destroyed and rebuilt. This is the same Luz as it is today. He Shema Ad Hayom Hazeh. Tanya, he Luz, Shitzaybin Batachelos. This is the place in which they would dye the tchelos of the tzitzis. He Luz is the exact same place, Sheba Sancherev, V'lo Bilbula Nebuchadnezzar. That Sancherev came, and Nebuchadnezzar did not cause it to get all mixed up. V'lo Hechriva, and it did not destroy it. Actually, I should probably say it the other way around. Sheba Sancherev V'lo Bilbula, because Sancherev actually mixed up all the cities, but he did not mix up the city. And Nebuchadnezzar came and didn't destroy it, even though he was a destructive force. Also, the Malach HaMavis has no permission to pass over the city. Else it came in Sheba, when it came to the elders there, Bisman Shedaitin Katza, when they were disgusted with life, Alehen Yoitzin Chutz L'chaim, they would leave the city, Behain Mesim, and they would die. Now this guy who was this Kanani that did all of this, Shalo Diber Bepiv, he didn't speak, he didn't move his feet. Nonetheless, all he did was he gave like a signal of the direction for this person to go. He showed him the way. He was able to save this generation, all generations that lived in the city of Luz, that they couldn't be touched. So imagine if you actually would accompany someone physically, certainly you would be rewarded. So Bameh herolahem. With what did he show them? So Chizki Omer bepiv ikem lahem. That was his mouth, like he bent to them. He said something. All he actually did was just showed him that he pointed in the direction of where they should go. Tanya Kavasid Rav Yochanan. That all he did was show his finger. Bishvil shekanani zeh hera be'etzboi. It says Beferish, he only showed with his finger. Garim hatzal lo zarad kol daros. He didn't even say anything. Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi. Let's say you're traveling and there's no one to accompany you. Yasik b'Torah. So you should at least learn Torah. Torah protect your shnemar. That a good accompaniment, which is referring to the Torah, will be upon your head. Va'anokim ligargar secha, and a necklace upon your neck. Yomi Yeshua ben Levi b'shvil arba psiyos. Shalava Paro Avraham. Paro accompanied Avraham 4 steps. As Rashi says, v'yitzav of Paro Anoshim v'yishalcho Isai. Shenemer v'yitzav alav Paro Anoshim v'goymer. Actually, Rashi quotes it, but it's Meferish in the Gemara. So because of that, nishtabed b'banav arba meo shana. Because he did something great to Avraham, so he was able to have this control over the Klal Yisrael for 400 years. Shenemer v'avda v'inu asam arba meo shana. We know they worked for Paro for 400 years. Amar Behuda Marav. Komolav eskaver arba amos be'ir enot nizuk. All you have to do is take even just 4 amos. You don't have to walk them so far. That's enough. He won't be damaged. Ravina Avlu Rava Bar Yitzchak Dal Amos Be'ir. Ravina accompanied Rava Bar Yitzchak 4 amos. Matalide Hazeka V'itzil. And a danger came in his way, but he was saved. So we see that even Arba Amos works. Tanaban. Harav Talmud. If a Rav should accompany his own student, but he only has to take him ad Ibur Shel Ir. Only until basically the border of the city. So Rashi says, "Shu yotzim minahu b'bayis achitzon shebetach shivim alma v'shirayim l'bati ir." This is really more in Erevin, 70 2/3 amos from the outermost city is the Ibura Shel Ir. Chaver l'chaver ad chum Shabbos. You should go and accompany your friend an additional up to 2,000 amos. Talmud Rav, a student who's accompanying his Rabbi in Loshir, which means he should go as far as necessary. Bekama, what does that mean exactly? Rav Sheshes ad Parsa. V'lo amaran el Rav Shena Movak. That's only if it's not your number one Rebbe. Rabbi Movak shloisha parsois. You should even walk 3 parsois. Question 12. L'fanecha dal shiri levaya. Who is this referring to? Ad ibur shel ir. That is a Rebbe accompanying his student. Ad Parsa is a Talmud to a Rebbe who is not a Talmud Muvak. Gimel Parsos is a Talmud accompanying his Rebbe who is his Rav Muvak. And Chum Shabbos is a friend to a friend. Rav Kahana, back in the Gemara, Alba Rav Shimi Barashi, Pum Nahara, he accompanied him all the way from Pum Nahara, Beit Sin Yasa, de Bavel. Kimata Hassam or Malay said, Vadin Amrisu, Hani Sin Yasa de Bavel, this is actually Gemara in Brachos, that these palm trees of Bavel, Mishnei Adam Rishon Isnu, they're all the way from the time of Adam Rishon. Or Malay said, Ad Karasa Milsa, you reminded me of something. Diam Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Chanina might have said, what does it mean in the pasuk? Be'eretz lo'avar bar ish, a land in which no person passed. V'lo yashav adam sham, and no person dwelled there. V'chemi achar shlo avar, if a person didn't pass there, so heichan yashav, obviously he didn't dwell there. And in parentheses it says the other way around. El eretz shekazer leha adam arishan lishav nisyashva eretz. It means that Adam Rishon was geyser certain lands that people will inhabit and some which will not. So whatever he said, these lands will be inhabited, those will be inhabited and nothing else. Rav Mordechai accompanied Rav Ashi mehagroinia v'ad Bei Kefe, all the way till Bei Kefe. V'yarmila ad Bei Dura. Rav Yochanan mishum Rav Meir. Kol she'en malava, anyone who does not accompany, u'misalave ki'ilu shayvach damim. So what does that mean? That it means that you were someone that should have accompanied this individual. So it's like you're shayvach damim. Shilmali livuhu anshi Yericho Elisha, because it would have been that the people of Yericho would have accompanied Elisha Logira Duvim Latinaikis. Then the bears would not have incited the children, which the bears actually killed 42 of these young men. Shnemar v'yal mishom beis el, v'hu oila baderech, u'narim katanim, they're small kids, yatzim in they left the city. V'yis kalsu boy, they were taunting him, v'yomrulo, and they said to him, ale kereach, ascend bald one. Ale kereach. Amrulo, they said to him, ale shehi karachta aleinu esamakim, that you have boldened upon us the esamakim, the place. Rashi says, kishahayu hamayim harayim, because there was this bad waters, haisa parnasenu v'lahavi mayim v'limchor. So my unarim katanim, who are these small kids? Omer Rabbi Lezer, it means sheminorim min ha-mitzvahs, that they were shaken out, they were empty from mitzvahs. Katanim shahim katni amana, they had little faith. Tan and narim hayu, they actually were narim. Ubiz bazu atzman katanim, but they acted like katanim. Matzu Rav Yosef v'dilma al shem mekayman. Maybe it's referring to the name of the place, says Rashi. V'dilma katanim mamish habi. Maybe they really are little kids. Yal shem mekayman nikru narim shahayu min oiram. Maybe that they came from this place, Na'aram. V'dilma al shem mekayman. Miluk, after all, it says v'aram yatsu gedudim, that they went out in their troops. V'yishmum Eretz Yisrael nara katana. No, so what does nara mean? The kashal and nara katana v'yamra padas katana demin na'oirin. They're a katana, but they were from Na'oirin, so which is the name of a place. So maybe over here it's the same thing. It doesn't mean that they were narim and act like katana. Maybe that's where they were from. No, hasam mufarish mikayma. Over there it wasn't explained the place. Hacham mufarish mikayman. Over here it is explicit. It says Yericho. It says the place. Okay. So it must be, it's not referring to where they're from. Vayifen acharav, and Elisha turned from them. Vayirim v'yikalim b'shem Hashem, and he cursed them in the name of Hashem. So Mara, it says he saw. What did he see? Amarav Ram Mamish. He actually saw them. That whenever the Chachamim cast their eyes, Omiso Oini. It just means that he looked at them, and that's how he was able to curse them. Shmuel Oimer Rosh Shekun this Avra Behen Iman B'Yom Kippurim. He saw that all of them, their mothers conceived them on Yom Kippur, which of course is Asr, and therefore they came from a sin. Rav Yitzchak Nachal Oimer Bloris Ra Lehen Ke'emorim. He saw their hair, which is bloris, which is this hairdo with this like long ponytail tied up, which did not represent that of someone who adhered to Torah and mitzvahs, like those of the Emorim. There was no one that had the moisture of the mitzvah. Their mitzvahs are all dried up. Dilma bezeraihu nehavihava. So Rabbi Lezer lobam l'bazaram outside koladarus. Don't say that maybe their children will be good. No, he saw into all future that they were going to be no good. We're going to stop there. Let's see. Question TB27. Ksib benachal esan eshel yovid ba vo yizareya. Im nesru sharvodos lomanemer zuria. So why does it say zuria? Okay, this one's not hard. I got it wrong. It's sharvodos nesru hainu dumid zuria shehi begufa shel karka. The only time it's usher if it's something which is begufa shel karka, like planting. However, TB 27, other things such as arranging the stones or having the pish done there, soaking, that is something which is allowed, because that's not considered to be an attachment or connection to the gufa shel karka. Adkan.